Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Sorry for just the lack of content for the past few days, just as I illustrated in the news roundup. Just not a whole lot going on. Just wasn't a lot of content to make. It was also my birthday, so I just kind of chilled out, relaxed. But yeah, we're back with another review, and for this one, I actually went out to a mystery movie, mainly because I knew what it would be, and I had spoken about the trailer for this, and I was not as enthusiastic by it, but I thought, hey, I mean, $7, I don't completely hate what I saw from the trailer. Why not? Let's give it a shot. And well, we're here to do the review to see what I thought of it. I just came back from the theater from seeing this. That film that we're going to be discussing today is The Legend of Ochi, which was written and directed by Isaiah Saxon, who is in his feature film debut with this film. Distributed by A24 and stars Helena Zengel, Willem Dafoe, Finn Wolfhard, and Emily Watson. So this takes place in a very secluded village and on an island, actually. And it follows a girl named Yuri, played by Helena Zengel, who is a part of a family who, or at least specifically on the father's side, father of which played by Willem Dafoe, who has an interest in a mystical or a forest creature known as the Ochi. And the Ochi are very distinct in characteristic. They possess a very kind of Sasquatch type of look, and they project through sounds and specific tones within their sounds. And they hunt them down, Willem Dafoe, because their village has been at odds with these creatures for millennia, for many decades, and Willem Dafoe is just the current generation of people trying to deal with them. And his daughter, is not of wanting to kill these creatures. She's actually more fascinated by them. And one day, as she is patrolling, investigating, or looking at the traps that are set up, she does routines and stuff like that, I guess. She comes in contact with one of the Ochis, and she takes them on and goes on a quest to bring this Ochi back to their family, and along the way potentially learn a little bit more about belonging and a little bit more about family, and maybe actually find more of said family of her own, as well as reuniting this Ochi to its own family. So bless me. Yeah, as I said by my reaction to the trailer, I was not particularly interested in this. I mean, I wasn't completely, completely against it, but I felt that it was tonally a bit at odds with each other. And to say right off the bat, it definitely is a film that is at odds with each other, and I think that it definitely will be a make or break for a couple of people. For my theater, there was a few people that walked out, and I don't blame them, because it absolutely is a film that is kind of like this in many respects. It certainly is relying upon some influences, obviously that of E.T., to lay out its foundation and to shape itself. And to some points, it does devolve a little bit into that of a mockery, into that of parody, specifically of that of E.T. When we get to the ending, it does try to string up the same sort of emotions that E.T. Illustrates, and it doesn't get to those heights, obviously, but it feels as though that it's sort of in that sphere of what it's trying to craft. It feels like it's ultimately trying to mimic and thus kind of parody that of its own inspirations. And narratively and emotionally speaking, it is rather simplistic. It is just a basic adventure of getting to one location to the next. And it's not thematically ringing anything more deeply than as what I've illustrated. Just belongings and, preservations of the natural environment, learning to accept nature and not try to destroy it. It has very, simplistic ideas on its mind, but what is not rather simplistic is actually it's the design of its overall film. It is a cocktail of a craftsmanship. That's kind of the best way to describe it. It is, as I said, kind of like this a lot of times. But for my viewing, at least, I found that very, very distinct level of of characteristic to be rather fascinating, and I found it to be oddly subversive as well, because there are times when the film actually projects humor, and I feel that as though by the design of its humor, I feel as though that it actually is meant to be rather nonchalant, I guess you could say. There's times where characters are like it's stringing up a certain dramatic moment, and then at some point a character will say something to kind of drop that, and it's not to where it feels like, oh, okay, here's a piece of humor. It's actually like, okay, wow, that came out of nowhere, and that actually feels in line with the spirit of what it's crafting, which is, like I said, very a mixture, very much a mixture, and very distinct in its overall characteristic and its persona. I think visually it is quite stunning. I think just breathtaking at some points. Just the scenery, the landscapes, just beautiful. Some of the mountaintops, the great emphasis on the fog and how it plays to the environment. I feel is just absolutely just stunning. And through this very quirky and very just oddly a crafted tone, it is surprisingly charming. I found myself really involved with its story, even though it is quite simplistic, and even though where things are going. And emotionally, yeah, there is not a lot there, but I feel as though that what is designed and what is crafted, literally what is crafted, there is something there that is endearing, that is charming, and that does keep you intrigued and keeps you invested. And it's rather rare in terms of its overall just delivery. It is quite distinct, and it is a make or break. Like I said, it definitely is a film to where you are either in and out in terms of how it portrays itself. And for some people in my theater, they chose to leave, and I don't blame them, because like I said, it definitely is like this for its entire viewing. It definitely is acting as so like this, and literally is this in many respects. But I didn't find that to be, oddly enough, as much of an issue as I thought it would be based on the trailer. So it's definitely an odd film. It's definitely a strange little piece, but I found it to be a rather gem of a film. It's a nice little piece. It definitely has issues. It definitely has flaws, and some of which I feel are designed. I feel it's intended, and then in other respects, it is by the reliance to its very apparent influences, that of E.T. There's obviously some, that of Star Wars because of just the design of the creatures. Spielberg, obviously, just by the nature of its tone, where some of the origins come from. It definitely echoes that of Spielbergian type of inspirations. In terms of the music, how it plays, just the overall, just manner of how it flows. It kind of echoes that of a Spielbergian type of film. But by just how all the pieces come together, there is something really distinct happening here. And like I said, it definitely is not it's not perfectly, binding together. And it definitely doesn't feel as though that I'm walking out feeling complete, but I think that by what is there, by visual medium, by overall just expectation, by how it just sets up something and then it presents something else. It sets up a dramatic moment, then there's this just very just sharp point of humor that is also very nonchalant. It's just something that's spoken. Like a person will have an emotional speech, or an emotional moment's being had, and then out of nowhere someone just goes, "Well, that's stupid," or says something that's just is apparent, but is in terms of the building of its structure, the dramatic uh, moment. It comes out of left field, but it doesn't feel like it is out of place either. So it's a very, very strange film. It's a very odd little piece, but I found it to be rather charming, a little delightful, to be honest. Um, a little whimsical, as someone said in a review that I just read. Um, so I found it to be unique, and I think that in that cocktail of a craftsmanship, I think that there is some merit to be found, even if its influences and its inspirations that it's utilizing are definitely a bit heavy-handed, and narratively and emotionally, it's a little bit thin. But where it lacks in those areas makes up for in its overall just voice as a filmmaker. I think that there's definitely merit there, and definitely, uh, definitely just definitely just just distinct. And that's just such a rare thing to find in this modern age, is to find such a very distinct voice in filmmaking. And then the indie department, there's a repetition of sorts when it comes to flavoring of filmmaking. I can say with this is rare for me. This is just a very distinct type of flavor. And did it completely work? No, but I welcome something that is clearly trying to be different. And sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, I feel that I was was enjoying of its company, even if it is pretty bare bones for a large part of its time. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on Legend of Oki. I thought it was good. I had a good time with it. I mean, clearly it's like I said, it's clearly a film that is kind of like a wave of sorts. It's just kind of like it kind of goes like this. Like kind of going with the flow. Oddly enough, I guess you get like a very hipster like feeling. I guess, like it's definitely not one of like this. It's definitely moving in this sort of way, and for some people, they don't like that and they'll just walk out. As I illustrated, my theater walked out. There's a couple of walkouts, but if you sit with it, I think you may find some interesting qualities that you don't find in a lot of films today. So, but that's my thought on Legend of Oki. Good little film. Good little piece. Good little, strange little gem of a film. That's the way I'll put it. But you guys want to know your thoughts on Legend of Oki? If you guys have seen it, it's going to be coming out. It came out in limited release on the 18th, but it's having a wider release on the 25th, so this Friday. So let me know your thoughts if you guys check it out in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.